All right, so it's a beautiful Friday evening, and good evening to you. Welcome to this particular special interview, or should I say, a rescheduled program that is talking about Meet Your Leaders, the program that comes your way every Wednesdays from 20 to 21. But this time around, because of the special needs and the specialty that we needed to do this and have this particular program, we have the rescheduled program, or simply put, a special interview today with our guest, who happens to be the executive director for Southern African Network Against Corruption, that is Sanec, by the name of Mr. Gregory Chifire. Mr. Chifire, good evening. Welcome to this program.
Good evening, Lance, and good evening, viewers. Or I don't know what I would call you because I'm not very, very conversant with this new system of yours of putting TV on this platform.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for honoring our invitation. And to you, our dear viewers, remember that we are Ubuntu channel. We're also live on our YouTube and Facebook pages. Of course, obviously talking about democracy and governance. In this respect, or in this case, when we talk about governance, we are talking about the almost 3 years of the UPND rule, talking about the governance style of the UPND. And when we talk about democracy, obviously we're talking about democratic spaces and the tenets of democracy. How far have we gone in this particular country, especially on the fact that from the previous regimes, we've been crying of the shrinking space of democracy, as well as also tenets of democracy not being adhered to. And to help me discuss that, like I said, is Mr. Gregory Chifire, who is our executive director for Sanec. Now, Mr. Chifire, I would love to start from this note. The opposition in this country continues to cry, as per tradition. They continue to cry that there is shrinking democratic space in this country. From your point of view, and obviously coming from the previous regime, the PF and the regimes before that, on how the country has been ruled, do you think that this shrinking space, democratic space, or probably there's just one or two people that are breaking the law and calling it shrinking of democracy?
Well, when you talk about shrinking of democracy, or just the terminology, the term shrinking, means that there's something that was bigger, but now it's becoming smaller. So when you look at the period, the gone era, the bygone era, the period of the PF and now, I think that is where the comparison should be in terms of shrinking. Are we shrinking? Are we getting the space? Is it getting smaller or getting bigger? To answer this, I think I would love to use statistics and say, during the PF regime, from 2015, Lance, to 2021, there's been no single political rally that was allowed, political gathering, but mostly rallies, a political rally that was allowed for the opposition in Zambia. Check your facts outside the electoral period, the election period. Not even one. Not even civil society. It was only once allowed to go and conduct march past. The other one I remember is about Pilato and Laura Miti. They were given permit to go and demonstrate at Parliament building, and the police went and raided them. Meanwhile, those belonging to the PF, the ruling party, were given express permission to march. Well, I saw them going around without even any permits. So that's the background where we're coming from. Then also, when you look at the aspect of the media, we find that from 2015, a number of media houses were closed. The first victim in 2016 was the Post newspaper.
Yeah.
Then there came Movie TV, Komboni Radio, Itezi Radio, Radio Liambai, Prime TV. This happened from 2015 to there about 2018, in 3 years. Comparatively, in the same period of 3 years, for a big relief to us to say no single radio station has been closed, no single newspaper has been closed, no single television station has been closed. It's a plus. When there was a voter registration in Katete, one of your comrades, a journalist like you, by the name of Sukwa, was a victim of PF wrath, where a youth leader in PF, who is now a member of parliament, urinated in his mouth. Physically in Katete, urinated in Peter Sukwa's mouth, a journalist. We don't see that happening now. Those days, we used to see, I remember also another journalist, I think she was working for Millennium TV, a young lady was wearing a red dress in town. She was harassed because she was wearing a red dress. A woman in the Woodlands was beaten not twice, not once, but more than 2 times, because on her stand, the poor woman, she was selling vegetables and fruits in Woodlands. Cadres used to go and berate and beat her up. Those things, we don't see them anymore. So now, if you compare, I can go on and on, including the harassment of university students. We lost a life in the name of Simojia, a young lady, university students. The shooting of Samansama and an UPND cadre, because we were gathering, the UPND was gathering somewhere, and then the police fired live ammunition. So now, to answer you, I'm saying I want to use the comparisons to say, if you say it was shrinking, was it bigger now? There was the space bigger then than it is now. I think we'll say the space now is slightly bigger compared to what it is in the period we are referring to. But it can improve. We are not doing as expected. We are not happy. What we are saying is that there is more tolerance now. You can wear a PF t-shirt today or a Socialist Party t-shirt today. No one will beat you up. It was not happening those days. But you have also seen the other side also, where the police's intolerance towards the activities, the movements of the opposition, that gives us a bit of worry to say, are we going back to where we belonged to? Yes, we saw the former President Edgar Lungu move in town. That was good for us.
Yes.
But the condemnation that he should not move is what is worrying, because he has a right to move. Political parties also have a right to gather in a democracy as ours. We saw today President Lungu, I don't know if he was stopped from meeting a Catholic priest. I'm yet to get the details. In
All right, so let me just help with that. So the details of today's events were that former president paid a courtesy call to a Catholic bishop in Kawe, where they were having talks or chats, and then the police had to disrupt that meeting or that courtesy call, citing security issues, as well as also saying that that was an illegal meeting which the bishop was having with former President Lungu. I think those are the few details that can be cited from what has been reported so far.
If it is as you are reporting, I think it was wrong for the police to do what they did. An indoor meeting, a small indoor meeting, as paying a courtesy call, does not require a police permit. The police is supposed to be there to protect citizens like Mr. Lungu. So we shudder to imagine that what happened in PF should come again and happen now because of the overzealousness of the police. I remember there's a group of bishops and civil society, under civil society umbrella. They were meeting to discuss the budget. Somewhere in 2018, 2019, they were arrested by the police for discussing a budget and an indoor meeting. The church, at the church place on the Copperboat. We're saying, we don't want that. So this is where people are saying, perhaps there's shrinking democratic space, but we're saying there is an improvement, but there are these vestiges of hostilities that are coming from one section of the state, which is the police, because of the overzealousness of the police and the way they administer the Public Order Act. I think it's a historic problem, because the police has been abusing the Public Order Act. That is why we are calling that the government should speedily take the bill, the amendment bill of the Public Order Act, to Parliament. I'm aware that submissions were given, I think, is it last year or this year at Mulungush Conference Center. But we want to see the submissions turned into a bill and a bill turned into an act, so that we address these issues, because the Public Order Act must align to the Constitution. The Constitution gives citizens a right to gather, freedom of assembly, which should be protected by the Public Order Act. Okay? So there are these worries, but comparatively, you can say we are much better, 10 times better as we were under the PF regime. But what we are saying is that there is room for improvement. We can do better.
All right. So speaking about the same overzealousness of the police, or maybe is blaming it on the police to say sometimes they tend to be overzealous and they get to overreact in terms of administering the Public Order Act. One, or politicians mostly, they would still come out and say these policemen, they get instructions from the powers that be. In this case, obviously, you talk about the IG and obviously the appointing authority. So if they are these little breakages in the police and it's been linked to the appointing authority or the authority that is looking after that particular department in the ministry, don't you think it's really high time that we have these people that are appointed in these positions to go under serious scrutiny so that they do not probably revenge on what was done to them? They want to do it to the person that did it to them. Shouldn't we graduate from that and become professional in the way that we handle such issues or such matters?
Well, Lance, to us, we believe that human beings are prone to error. If you leave human beings to regulate themselves, they will definitely regulate in a manner that will suit their interests best. What we need are regulations, laws that will spell out how the police should and must behave. I think there's also need. This now means that there's need to relook at the Police Act. because human beings must be regulated by the law. You know, one scholar said that if all human beings were angels, then there was no need for the law. So we are not angels. So we need to look at how the police conducts itself, and write in black and white in the Police Act, in the law, that the police should do, their powers should start from here and end here. And if the powers that one exercises as a policeman, as a policewoman, a police officer, exceeds this, then the punishment must follow, and this is the punishment. Perhaps the Police Act is weak. It does not spell out how the police should conduct itself and what are the attendant punishments for the transgression of the law, of the conduct. So the Police Act only speaks about the powers of the police in policing, what the appointment, and so on and so forth. Then we should also, going forward, in the manner that the police is appointed, we should be independent. The police should be independent, in as much as it's an extension of the executive. But the police said it should be independent. So it comes down to the law, how we are governing ourselves. We must come out from the pre-colonial way of governing to a modern way of governing, where democracy should thrive. And democracy can only thrive if all the elements of governance are independent, though they work interdependent. So let's look at how the Police Act is as a status, because the police has been abused from time immemorial by the powers that be. Okay?
Yeah.
It does not even go to State House, does not even need to go to the president. No. There are people that politicians, party officials would call the police and say, can you please do this? Okay. We know it is practice. It happens. Okay. It's done away from the president. The president doesn't even know these things, that these things are happening. Sometimes the president will even just watch on TV just like you and me. It's just somewhere within the party ranks, because people want to please the president. People want to please, the appointing authority, and now they will do this and do that. But in so doing, they fall into excesses. They go into extremes. So I've seen the abuse of the police, which must stop. The police must always be there for us. I pity Mr. Lungu in that the medicine that was being administered on the UPND by his party is now being ministered unto him. Imagine it was so bad that a former president, is at the mercy of people that he was commanding. So we need the difference. We need professionalism in this country, so that when we are not in the positions that we're holding now, we may be given the similar respect. Yes, PF was wrong. They sowed the very bad seed. They abused people so much that there are people that are still hurt even now. But what we are saying is, let's restrain ourselves from revenging. But what can help us is by having laws as we go forward that will stop the revenge, will stop the retribution, by ensuring that we put laws in place that will stop the excesses, will regulate us going forward. We want a democracy that will be envied by many. We're doing fine in many other areas. But just these little things that are remaining here and there, we need to address them. And the addressing must be above board, beyond the partisan and the political lines. I must tell you this, Lance, and the viewers out there, that political power is limited. It's got very, very short lifespan. We can be in government today, and those people salute you. It's not you they are saluting. It is the position that you hold that they are saluting. Once that position is taken away from you, the saluting will go. You'll be on the other side like we are. So those that are enjoying political power now, they will do well to make sure that their conduct is within the confines of the law. They do things that when they are out of office, they'll be applauded and said, you were a good leader.
Yeah.
Okay? Sorry to say this, that the PF at one time thought that they would never get out of power. It reached a point where they thought that they owned this country. When we go to elections, they'll be able to manipulate elections and come back and continue ruling. But you must understand that political power belongs to the citizens. They have the right to remove it at any given time when they see fit. They may look docile and stupid now, but when time for election comes, there's a way they communicate among themselves. Okay? So politicians must be wary in that area and respect the people. Let's do what is right. So back to our topic. There's the space is not shrinking. It shrunk a long time ago. There was no democratic space in this country. What was there was just the right to vote. What remained was just the right to vote. Freedom of expression was not there. Freedom of assembly was not there. So these rights were suspended. It's already a situation where the democratic space was already shrinking. We are trying now to bring it back, to make it bigger, to create democratic space. That is where we are. So this is the problem what we are having. We already have a democratic space that has shrunk. So let's bring it back. So the UPND has a mandate, has an onus, has a very big task to create back that democratic space. So what we are seeing here, where the police is stopping people from gathering, it's a hangover from the past regime. We have not come out of that. It became a norm. It became the part of us. Okay? So now we need now to change that. The UPND has a very big task to change that culture and bring back normalcy. Because stopping the opposition from gathering is not normal. It's anti-democracy. We should not clap that this is what is happening. No, we should now bring back that normalcy. During MMD went more than 10 years ago. PF used to gather freely. UPND used to gather freely. I remember Mr. Sata, 2 days after elections in 2001, he went on campaign until he won the elections. He never stopped. But what was created by the PF is that the president himself, President Edgar Lungu, is on record of saying that there's time for campaigns and time for development. So now there was a ban on the campaigns. And we have continued, there's still this ban. We need to unban political campaigns. Let people be gathering freely. Then we'll talk about democratic space. Let the media like you be free. Let's not stop the broadcasts. Let's allow people to be free. You know, when you allow people to be free and talk and express themselves, you will be able to know their state of mind. But when you gag them, you wouldn't know what they are thinking. It is very, very dangerous because anger will boil within them. But if you give them an opportunity to speak, they will air out their anger. You will know that, okay, there's a problem there. But if you don't allow them to speak, you don't allow them to gather, they will gather in their homes. They are gadgets now. Okay, they'll speak, there's phones. Yeah, so allow people to gather so that, allow people to speak so that, allow people to express themselves so that you'll be able to know the mood of the citizens. And as a result, you are able now to develop strategies to meet their needs. Yeah.
Well, all right. As rightly put, and I think when you went back to 10 years before, on the shrinking spaces of democracy, you rightly highlighted the fact that the opposition were denied to meet, to gather, or easily put to campaign. And from 2015 up to 2021, we never saw political rallies or political gatherings unless those which were done in hiding or away from the face of the media until the gathering is done. Then you see it being reported on the media. It seems like that trend has continued, because you would hear these politicians say from 2021 after elections up to now, there's no political party, especially the opposition, that have been led to hold campaigns or to hold rallies. Now, in this case, I still come back to the police, Mr. Chifire. I think I would love us to really talk much about them, because they are the ones that look at the security state of the country. And if you apply at the police, or if you notify the police, they'll tell you the security situation in this area or currently is not okay, because they look at so many issues or so many different angles in how they are setting the safety or security stability in an area or in a country. And mostly they'll deny that permit for you to hold that gathering, public gathering, or rallies. Don't you think maybe there's need for these politicians, as well as we, the general citizenry, to really get into the police and understand what they mean if they say security concerns is the reason why you can't have this rally, but then still manage to deploy security people in that area the following day or on the date that you have applied to have these rallies, so that they can bar you from doing those rallies? Don't you think we really need to understand the police and get to understand what they mean by due to security concerns?
Well, maybe we do, but you raised the point where they're saying security concerns. We don't have enough manpower to police the rally. But when they're coming to disrupt the rally, they're coming with a horde of police officers. Where have those police officers come from to disrupt the political rally? So the problem here is more about the administration of the act itself. It's a historic problem. The police have created their own way of responding to rallies, which has been happening over time. So there has been a pattern, okay, which must be broken. So this is historic. So we are still suffering from what happened in the previous years, even now, which must be changed. It's a rule book. It's already written. It's a template. When they are responding, they just get to that template and copy and paste and respond to your letter. It's already there. We need to change their mind now to start typing new things. So they've got a software. The police have got a software. When a letter comes applying for a rally, remember they've done this for a period of over 10 years. So it's there in their offsets. So there's that software. When a rally comes, you answer. Like the application from opposition comes, you don't even look at who has done what, who has signed what. It's already there in their mind. They just go copy and paste. The same words. Just look at those responses. They are the same words. So our job now, the new Dawn government has a job to depoliticize the police.
Okay.
Because the police has been working in a certain way, politicized way. Remember, people used to go to police and threaten, "I'll fire you." Cadres, cadres, we know them, small cadres, so fire you. A big man, a policeman. This country, will fire you. The old man has got children, has got what? So there's that fear in the police to say, if we do anything, I'll be transferred to Mongo, to Kalawa, to Chipata, to Lundazi. So we need security of tenure of the police. There
Yeah.
must be independence in the police. They should not fear for their job. Some of these things they are doing, even the ruling government, the ruling parties may not be in agreement, but they are doing it to please because they feel they're not secure in their job.
Yeah.
Anybody walk in the office and threaten a policeman and say, "Oh, Bwana, me." We used to see it even on roadblocks, on checkpoints. A car will just stop and say, "Hey, I'll call Walusambo, I'll call Mundu, come and see." You remember those instances? Eh?
Yes, yes.
So there's this that the police are still working in fear. They're working in fear. So we need to work out this thing because what they are doing, they are over pleasing their appointing
Mm,
authority for
mm,
fear of
mm,
their job. So for us to
mm.
address this matter, we must address the Police Act. That is where
Okay.
the whole thing lies. Because police, they feel that their job is to please, first of all, those that are in the ruling party. It's not.
Mm.
Their job is to
No.
police everyone, to provide security, even for us, the non-entities. It's for everyone. So we have got a lot of work to be done. So historically, that's how the police has been working. And they
Mm.
have transplanted that. Because remember, they are the same police officers.
Yes.
They who came from PF up to now. The others came from MMD, PF up to now. They are the same ones. Some of them were
Mm.
even accused of being a PF at the time. So now they need to
Mm-hmm.
show that they are not.
Yeah.
Okay? They need to show it now. Me, why are you accusing me? So now they are mending, others are mending. So
Yeah.
there's that, they are not trusted, so I should show them that actually I can deal with PF. You get the point? So
Yes,
we
yes.
are we are really, really in interesting times. So
Okay.
our democracy is going to thrive. These are the little things that we may take note of. They look little, but they are
Mm.
very big. Imagine a policeman going to point a gun at someone who is marching, going to a meeting place, stop and a gun pointing at them. I
Mm.
mean, when I looked at those pictures, I said, not in our country. A
Yeah.
police should respect citizens and treat
Exactly.
citizens the same way. So we must change the policing system in this country. Let's be professional. Yeah.
Mm. Well, of course, let me also maybe let me bring in this aspect. Every ruling government is always reactant to statements or issues that happen either abruptly or planned. Both the PF and the UPND seems to be ruling parties that are not very that do not do well with statements or issues that come from either the well-meaning Zambians or those that just want to politicize things. For example, government has got so many developmental projects that they are doing, those that are successful and those that are not yet successful. But if the opposition gets to talk about, for example, let me pick on CDF, the failure of CDF, government is always very protective and reactive to such. Shouldn't we have a listening government that should be tolerant to divergent views and probably pick the positives out of whatever that is talked about than always reacting to what seems to be the negatives and what they may term as attacking of the government?
Yeah. Yeah, you put it aptly. Um, we tend to misunderstand opposition and being in opposing sides.
Mm-hmm.
We feel when we're in government, we don't have to listen to what those opposing are saying. And also
Mm,
those that are opposing, they feel that they must oppose everything that government is doing. So
mm,
there's this gap that we must come to close to say, when you are in the government,
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean those in opposition are your enemies.
Yeah.
Sometimes because not sometimes, but always you must coexist. By
Mm-hmm.
coexisting is that you must also consult the opposition, and the opposition must also bring their programs to you and say, how if we did it that way? But what we have
Mm-hmm.
is a purely competition, a rivalry of ideas, competition of ideas, where if I do this, I should do it myself. The ruling party brings up an idea. If it is shot down, they will defend it with their blood and say, this is this, because they feel that they want to get my job. Because it's about the
Mm-hmm.
winner takes it all. Since now I'm ruling,
Yes.
I should make all the decisions. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
As a,
Mm-hmm.
as as in the ruling. It is not supposed to be like that. Governance actually is about sharing ideas and sharing responsibilities. But this also
Mm-hmm.
comes from our constitution, because our
Mm-hmm.
constitution gives the winner takes it all. If we
Yeah.
had a constitution like the Constitution of South Africa, where eh, you share governance, governance
Mm-hmm.
is shared. It is
Mm-hmm.
different here. Governance is not shared here. Governance, when you win, you govern as the ruling party. Even when
Mm-hmm.
there's a mayor from the opposition, you find that that mayor is being overlooked.
Yeah.
The MP who is coming from a party that is not in government is overlooked
Mm-hmm.
unless that person begins to work with the government of the day. So we've got the problem emanates from our constitution. We need to change how we govern ourselves, because it's not about me. It's about us.
Yes.
And you know, politics in Zambia doesn't end. We politic from 1st January to 31st December. It's about politics. We don't sit together to plan
Plan.
regardless of our political affiliation. No. We, if you are in government, you make decisions and it's final. Okay?
Mm,
So we need to change our attitude. We need to change the way we govern ourselves by tolerating views of others. Yes, ruling
mm,
parties have been very, very intolerant to the suggestions of the opposition, which is not
mm,
healthy for our democracy. Maybe it is how we are, that is culturally, that's how we are, but we should change. You know, a lot of things have changed. A lot have changed. The
mm,
way we were governed from the UNIP days to now, things have changed. We've got a new
mm,
generation of citizens. Our young people
mm,
now need a better way of being governed. We want to see a
mm,
situation where the government of the day calls for a development in Daba, ask for
mm,
ideas from the ruling part, from the opposition, the civil society, the church, and everyone, and then we bring those things together. We cannot be politicizing over development. Development is not a political issue. Development is a national issue that must be bereft of any political connotation.
Well, dear viewer, you are watching a special interview right here on Ubuntu channel. And like I had put it from the start of the program, this is a rescheduled Meet Your Leaders program, which airs every Wednesday from 20 to 21. For this particular one, it had to be special due to the nature of it, and obviously looking at the nature of the guest that we have this particular evening, who is the executive director for Sanec, that is Mr. Gregory Chifire, as we're talking about democracy and also governance. Well, we've shared the studio link with you right on our Facebook page, as well as on our YouTube channel, for you to come through, be part of the program. You can join us live into the studio, either to ask a question, comment on what we are discussing, or be part of the program as we are discussing this very important thing. So, simple instructions: when you click on the link, it will ask you, it will take you to your local browser and ask you to allow this studio to have access to your camera and to your microphone. Please allow it so that we can have a better interaction when you join us into the studio. Better still, you can still leave us a comment underneath this broadcast, and we'll definitely read it as well as get to share sentiments with you. So, Mr. Simukonda, if you can do that when joining in or when coming into the studio, allow both your microphone and your camera, and then you will be admitted into the studio. Now, Mr. Chifire, since we are now talking about governance, and governance entails of a whole lot, and or maybe before I engage you, we have Mr. Simkonda. Mr. Simkonda, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much,
Mr.
Sanjay. Good evening to you too.
All
Good
right.
evening.
All right. So you can share your views, comment, or if you have a question. Wow.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Yes, I think my addition on this topic on democracy and governance. I'm sure as Zambians we are still very far away from this what we call democracy and governance. We don't work together as Zambians. We are in a competitions who can do better. That's why we're having these issues or this problem that we are facing today. So still very far away from democracy. We are fighting each other. We don't know what we are supposed to do. So I don't know where this problem is coming from. I don't know if it's greediness or what. I don't know. Anyway, everyone wants to read. Everyone wants to be a reader. That is why there's a problem where that is why this Eden kind of problem is coming from. But the moment we start to consider when we love each other. That's why sometimes I even doubt when you say Zambian is a Christian nation. How? What evidence do we have, or what are the signs when we say we are all Christians? Because we don't behave like Christians. What we do, we are fighting each other. Politics from January to December. For 5 years, are going to continue politics until another election comes. I think for now, that's what I can add.
All right. Thank you so much for your addition. Mr. Chifire, you seem to be in agreement with what Mr. Simkonda is saying.
Certainly, I am. There's too much politicking in this country. You find sometimes it goes even politics even breeds an enmity. People stop talking to each other because they belong to different political factions. This one comes, this one goes. They can't even meet eye to eye, which is very wrong. Politics are just the exchange of ideas. You have different ideologies of different mind. Mine are different. We go to an election. After elections, we say, okay, fine, you have won. Congratulations. Let's work together. Okay, me, what I feel that I should contribute to this country is this way. Even if I've lost, I can contribute this way. But what we have now is that is to insult every day, to oppose every day from January to December, as Mr. Simukonde puts it. It's not healthy for us. This is not what our forefathers meant when they talked about multipartism and democracy. They meant that when it's election time, you are free to belong to any political party, and even after you can belong to UNIP, MMD, or whatsoever political party, but there should be coexistence. Development should be first. Politicking should be second. Should be under development. Should be beneath development. So let's consider first, bring the development first. The others should come later.
Now, governance of a nation, like you rightly had put it, is supposed to be a collectiveness of the people that live in this nation or in this country, which to some extent doesn't seem to be the thing or the way for Zambia and probably many other African countries, due to the fact that, yes, there's politicking and stuff like that. What needs to be changed, Mr. Chifire, if we are to live by governance of a nation should be a collective thing, if we have to embrace each other, whether opposition or ruling or those that are not non-political, what needs to be done to have these three groups of people to coexist, and obviously to coexist and look at how best we can govern a country. If we're looking at becoming developed, because we are still underdeveloped, we are still a developing nation. We are clocking 60 years, but still underdeveloped. What should be done?
Well, I think the problem is cultural. Our forefathers lived under a system of kings where they lived by decrees. There was some form of dictatorship. But this thing called democracy is new. It was brought to us by the West. We are learning it and we're embracing it. So we need to keep on tolerating each other, learning and adjusting. I'll give an example. In North Africa, the West forced democracy in North Africa. In Libya, and part of the Middle East, in Iraq, and so on and so forth. Those people have got their different culture. We have also got a different culture. The Western world has got a different culture. It is their way of life. To us, we are still learning, and we must keep learning this democracy, because we thrived under a certain system that is cultural to us. That's why we still have, where we come from, their chiefs. We don't question them. A chief will tell you, do this, we don't question. But this is the new thing that came, that is democracy, where we have got the right to question. It was not part of us. So we are still learning, and we'll keep teaching each other. And I think we are doing fine so far. We are doing very well. And we must not unlearn. We should keep learning until we perfect the art.
All right. Anyway, I don't know if Mr. Simkonda has something to add on to, but I have a question, or a question that I would still love to throw to you, Mr. Chifire. I was reading somewhere just some few days ago. So there's a Zambian, a political scientist, a Zambian who is living in the diaspora, who's written a book, and in his book he's made remarks such as, Zambia can only develop, or we can only move away from this quagmire of winner takes it all and it's all supreme to that person the moment we change our constitution, because he believes that this document which we have now is not a constitution, but rather it was a British agreement or settlement which was done between our forefathers, or our fathers that fought for independence. It was an agreement or a settlement which was between these two parties to say, well, for now we shall give you, we shall prepare this document and give you to do certain things on your own, but there wasn't freedom in everything as it is brought back today, where certain decisions are not made by us. Fast forward in his book, he also mentions to say this document in the 1980s, the constitution, instead of Zambians coming up with our own constitution, what was happening rather was people doing amendments, and the amendments mostly were looking at how to increase more power for the president than looking out for an ordinary man out there. So do you believe that there is need for an overhaul of the constitution if we are to really learn of this democracy and probably get to follow it, and then governance becoming a whole thing which is inclusive?
He is not far from the truth. I think to some extent I agree with his sentiments, with his thoughts. We need a new constitution. Where we are now, the president has got so much power that it depends on the individual how he wants to use it. Tomorrow you'll find we elect a rogue president who is going to wake up and make strange pronouncements. Okay? We need a constitution that is going to give power to people to share in the governance system. The citizens must share in the governance system. The constitution that we have now is in such a way that it has deposited the power to govern in the ruling party and the executive headed by the president. The party comes in as an extension because there's failure to understand that there's a difference between the party and the government. But we have a situation where those that have won elections, if the PF has won elections, if MMD has won elections, the president will be ruling with his cohorts. But we need a situation where power is given to the people. As it is now, the president appoints all important positions. The president appoints the head of the judiciary. The president appoints the head of the police, the head of the Anti-Corruption Commission, the media, ZNBC, all the important institutions of governance are being controlled by the ruling party. Lance, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. So we need to change the constitution. That is, our cry is that the UPND government now look at constitutional reforms.
Yeah.
The constitution that we have now does not give power to the people to govern. It only recognizes people as part of the state who are ruled by a ruling party. We need to align the constitution to the current happenings. The constitution that we have now, of course, we've only had amendments. Okay, we came close to having a constitution when we had a constituent assembly somewhere in 2010, but it was shut down by the PF. Then they brought up what is called the Bill 10, which was just make of few people coming together. We need to come together as a people, have an endeavor, and bring back to ourselves a constitution, not that which was left by the colonial masters. If you get back to history, 1963, the constitution even mentioned the name of Kaunda, that Zambia, the president of Zambia shall be Kaunda. There shall be this, there shall be this. We need now a constitution that we write ourselves. We come together as a people. It doesn't matter how much it will cost, but in the long run, it will benefit us, because after all, money belongs to the people. So we demand that the government, the UPN government, begins to set up a roadmap that is going to lead to a constituent assembly, or any, whatever name they'll call, a popular body where people from different walks of life are going to come together to formulate, come up with the rules and how we're going to govern ourselves, what we call the laws, and they call the constitution. So we need that constitution more than ever before. It is late. It is actually, we needed it yesterday. And the people in the government must do well to leave a legacy by giving us a people-driven constitution. Not what will be the thing like Bill 10. No, bring the people together. Begin to gather views so that when they leave office, at least they'll say one of the things that they left is a good legacy, a good constitution. If I was a president, I would want to leave a constitution that is going to protect every citizen, a constitution that everyone is going to be happy about, not a constitution that is targeting people. This should be one of the things that the UPND should do. Fight corruption, bring about a good constitution. And you know, they talked about a lot about the good governance when they were in opposition. I think they have got an opportunity. They know what it is to be disadvantaged by a bad constitution. They know what it is to be misruled. They know what it is to be abused. And I know they have not forgotten. I know the UPND government has got passion for the people. And they should show this passion by giving us a good constitution.
Well, definitely they should show that passion by giving us a good constitution. Mr. Simkonda, you have something to say, something to add? All right. I think network should be disadvantaging Mr. Simkonda there. But however, I would love to hear from him. You've mentioned one of your speciality. I think I wouldn't be doing due diligence if we ended the program and not touch this thing or this issue, the fight against corruption. Obviously, we would want to get an update owing to the fact that your organization looks at that or has a very keen interest in this nation fighting corruption, if possible, rooting it out of the home of governance, or to be a country that is corrupt free. So where are we in this fight against corruption? And do you think that at the rate that we are moving, where we've seen many cases going to the Financial Crimes Court, other rulings coming out, obviously not in favor of the government, others in favor of the government, and we've seen also governments settling for out of court settlements. What is your whole view or your general view on the fight against corruption so far and what has been achieved?
Okay, thank you very much, Lance. First of all, I want to congratulate the SEC for launching the corruption policy, which we last had, I think, in 2010. So we are
Yes.
fighting corruption without a policy all along. So to us, it's an indication of good things that are to come. So to answer you now, we are saying there is an improvement in the fight against corruption, in that today people are more scared to be involved in corruption than they were previously. And previously, you could see people involved in corruption openly, party officials, government officials, and so on and so forth. And I think this has reflected in the TIZ perception index, corruption perception index, which says that we have improved. That's the perception index, okay? The way corruption is, we are taking corruption. I think there's a very big difference. People now, there's a bit of the restraint. Yeah, they don't as much as it used to be. But we can do better, much better. The problem that we have is that the institutions that were mandated to fight corruption are dead. There's corruption in the judiciary, there's corruption in the police, corruption in the SEC, and name these institutions. So it has been very difficult to fight corruption. Remember, these are people that were transferred, the same officers that were corrupt in the previous regime are still serving now. And you cannot perform government today and chase away everyone. And I'll tell you the biggest problem that we're going to have in this country if we're not going to address the issue of corruption in the judiciary. The SEC perhaps will go with the cases very well, go and prosecute the cases very well. But you to go to court and there'll be a roadblock there. Why? Because our judiciary today, Lance, I'll be very honest with you, is very corrupt. Corruption starts at the judiciary.
Wow.
The SEC, yes, they can be corrupt, but it's not a problem because they can prosecute a matter. There are many matters, but it will still, if we are not addressing the judiciary, the problem in the judiciary, there's nothing that will happen. You'll see acquittals. That's why we're challenging the judiciary to make reforms. One of the reforms, and I think I'll challenge the Chief Justice, is that they should allow the media to broadcast live proceedings in court, so that Zambians should be following by themselves what is happening in court and be the best judges, and to give the magistrates and judges restraint to twist their judgments. I've followed a lot of corruption cases myself, where you could see that this is pure corruption. This person is going to be jailed. There is evidence, but you find some magistrate to read the judgment is something else. So we have a problem here that institutions of governance, institutions that are supposed to fight corruption, they are corrupted themselves. So it is very, very difficult even to see progress now, because even the way that some of these institutions investigate cases, it leaves much to be desired. The way that the Corruption Commission investigates cases leaves much to be desired. I'll be honest with you here, I'm speaking publicly, that there are a lot of allegations that people have been getting bribes. They have been promising those that are supposed to be jailed that they will be given freedom. These are not mere allegations. I think there's some truth in this. Those that, even those that were the previous regime, could have seen them already serving sentences. But where are their cases? Nothing. They are nowhere. It should surprise you that we used to see that, okay, this one is the real corruption. Oh, you pay, but this procurement is last with corruption. Court. Zero. Why? People are getting money, boss, out there. They are getting money. They are being bribed not to investigate cases. So these are realities. So it will be very difficult for this government to fight corruption, because we have got this backlog of civil servants, of investigators that are inherited from the previous regime, that have continued to protect their friends, because there was a cartel. Okay, they did things together. They are friends, so they've continued that friendship. So it's not surprising to us to say, okay, how is it that there are very few convictions? The answer lies in that the investigating wings are compromised. Not all, but there are those that are compromised. And it will take time to page. It's not something you can do within a day.
Now, Mr. Chifire, do these out-of-court settlements give confidence to the Zambian people that corruption is being fought, or it gives the energy to say you can still, you can be corrupt, but at a certain point you can still get to decide and say, I'll do an out-of-court settlement with the agency, and everything goes like that?
Last, do you want my honest answer?
Yes.
My honest answer is that I'm not in favor. I'm speaking as me. I'm not in favor of the non-conviction forfeitures. I'm not. I'm also not in favor of the plea bargain law that provides that someone, it's there in the SEC Act, by the way, okay, that if you have stolen, you can go and ask the investigating wing. They say, no, what I'll do is that I'm going to return part of the proceeds. I'm not in favor of that as a person. I feel that law was created by politicians so that when they steal, when it's time to account, they'll come and negotiate and give parts and remain with parts. What that simply means is that they are bribing the law enforcement agencies, isn't it? What that also means is that when you're in a position of authority, you must steal a lot of money, so that when it's time when you're convicted, you're going to dangle a carrot, say, okay, I've got $50 million. Here it is, here it is, here it is. Then they will come for and say, okay, bring that 50 million. So I find that a problem, because that law does not apply to someone who has stolen very little. It doesn't apply to the poor. If someone steals a chicken in ShopRite because they are hungry, they want to feed their children, real hungry. I'm talking about them. Maybe they didn't eat for days. They've stolen, they've worked, and I'm not encouraging theft anyway, but you have stolen a chicken. then the police or whoever the law enforcement agencies will not be interested in that guy. No, please, I'll return the chicken and give me my friends. No, return. They will get the chicken and turn it to be evidence, but the guy will go where? Will go to prison. Because the state will have nothing to benefit from a poor fellow. But is the law not supposed to apply equally to everyone? This law is discriminatory, isn't it? If a law is discriminatory, it protects the rich at the expense of the poor, then it's a bad law. The law should be in such a way that it punishes wrongdoing. It should not reward wrongdoing. Who says that those that steal and then they will come to for a plea bargain, they will return everything? No, they don't return everything. The girl in Newcastle, that journalist, didn't return everything, and the state is on record saying that after she returned that $57,000 and whatever million kwacha, she remained with something, and they continue to live on that. What we need are laws that will give punitive punishment to those that are involved in corruption. For example, in China, if you're involved in corruption, you're given life sentence, death sentence. Here, what are you given? The magistrate to give you 3 years. Perhaps because of the magistrate who wants to benefit something. The corrupt have got money. So our system is corrupt. So we need to make sure that Parliament helps us by coming up with stiff punishment for corruption. We are not serious in the fight against corruption as a people. It's not about government, no, it's us as a people. Because we embraced corruption, it became part and parcel of our culture. So we need to come up with laws, stiff punishment for those that are involved in corruption. Bwana, corruption, 20 years. But not 3 years. The court has never jailed anyone for more than 3 years. Never.
Somebody told me that somebody told me that we are all corrupt in one way or another. It's just that politicians are high corrupt people, because corruption starts in our homes, where we bribe our children not to tell mommy or not to tell on whatever that which we do. It goes to the school head, it moves in, it graduates until you have high level corruption in politics. If we have to run this down completely, we need to start from our children, from our own homes, to rid of corruption. Is it true?
It's very, very true. Corruption is simply bending what is supposed to be straight. It's just being crooked. It's the untruthfulness. To me, I feel that naturally, culturally, we have embraced corruption, although we don't discuss it at the level you're talking about. When we're talking about corruption, we're discussing at a very high level. Go to the police checkpoints today. How many cars you see that are going in there, or Palimuka roadblock? So they'll stop you for overspeeding. They'll tell you, go there. What is happening there? Exchange of money. Do people complain? Do people complain? No. Isn't that corruption?
It is.
It is, isn't it? So we're only talking about fighting corruption which is involving big people. No, corruption, let's fight it from our homes. It is also a religious issue. Corruption is about honest life. So if we taught our children to be honest, even the church teaches honesty in church. Corruption is part of church teaching, supposed to be part of church teaching. But how many preachers, bishops, priests talk about corruption in church? People are even uncomfortable in church. They say, I don't sin. But you see them go to get a bribe of a no, 100 kwacha. How much do you have? 100? No, 50 kwacha. They give. That's corruption. So if we're going to fight corruption, we start it from our homes, in the church, at school, everywhere. We must change this culture. We have embraced corruption. It's become like part and parcel of our lives now. So we must detox it, remove it from our lives by teaching honest lifestyle from being a child, just lies is corruption. So
Mm.
tell a child, don't tell lies, do this, do this, then you find at the end of the day, if the people feel to tell lies, they'll not be involved in corruption. But now it
Mm.
is different. Corruption is part and parcel of our lives. And we are saying, I'll tell you that the biggest carriers of corruption are civil servants, not politicians.
Mm.
But we
Mm.
tend to concentrate more on politicians because we want to have sensational headlines in the newspaper that Mr. So and so was caught with this money. But they cannot do corruption. Politicians cannot be involved in corruption if there are no civil servants involved in corruption.
Mm.
So let's
Mm.
deal with that. The biggest corruption is with the civil servants.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, Mr. Chifire, thank you so much for tonight. Really appreciate you coming through, and hopefully to have you again anytime soon.
Pleasure is mine, Lance. At your service, and I'll not hesitate to share ideas with you. I learn a lot from your interaction, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate. And to you, our dear viewers, remember that this was a special broadcast, special interview live on Ubuntu channel, also broadcasting on our Facebook and YouTube pages, Ubuntu channel Zambia. I've been your host, Lance Sanibanda. And this evening, I was playing host to Mr. Gregory Chifire, who is a Sanec Executive Director, discussing democracy and um, wow, democracy as well as also governance. Until we meet again on Wednesday when we bring to you Meet Your Leaders, I've been yours truly, Lance Sani. Good evening.